I can't even imagine. Have you heard those words and thought, neither can I? But then, it happened. Life took a turn you weren't expecting, and somehow you kept going. You are not alone. Your story matters, and we're here to talk about it. We're two moms, lifelong best friends, and we know what it's like when life throws the unexpected our way. Here we share real stories of struggle, strength, and hope. Because through every challenge, a new path unfolds, and where hardship meets strength, purpose is found. Welcome to episode 19 of I Can't Even Imagine. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Victoria.
Real quick, we want to tell you about an incredible place right here in Southwest Florida. It's called Sunlight Home. Our guest today dives deeper into their mission.
Sunlight Home is a residential maternity program for women and teens who are facing unexpected pregnancies and have nowhere else to turn. These young moms who are choosing life, and Sunlight Home is there to walk with them every step of the way.
Yeah, they provide safe housing, counseling, education, and life skills training. Basically everything these women need to build a new future for themselves and their babies.
And that mission is so close to our hearts. As moms ourselves, and after everything we've been through, we know how powerful it is when women are surrounded by support and love, especially in crisis.
And that's why we've decided to donate a portion of our Patreon profits each month to Sunlight Home. So when you support our podcast, you're also helping a mom and her baby get a fresh start they deserve.
It's a small way we can all be part of something bigger. So if you've ever thought about joining our Patreon, now's a great time. You get bonus content and you help change lives.
You can learn more about Sunlight Home at sunlighthome.org, or you can find our Patreon at patreon.com/bullshittinbesties. That's bullshitting without the G. We love you all, and we're so grateful to have this community around us. E.B. Yarnell is the CEO of Sunlight Home, a shelter for women in abusive or trafficking situations. Sunlight Home, based in Naples, Florida, offers residential and outreach programs funded entirely by private donations and grants. The organization aims to help women achieve independence and self-sufficiency through education, job placement, and mental health support. In this conversation, we'll explore how E.B. transitioned from the legal world to nonprofit leadership, the challenges women face when trying to escape cycles of trauma, and the incredible work Sunlight Home is doing to support survivors on their journey to independence. Welcome, E.B. Thank you for being here.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It's great to be with you today.
So tell us how you got into this line of work.
So it's kind of a crazy story. I am a lawyer by trade. I was practicing law. I'd been practicing for quite a while. I was finally getting to the point in my legal career where things were cushy, easier, a little more routine, a little less not challenging. It's always challenging, but I guess just a less stressful. And God put it on my heart that I really needed to find a different way to utilize my skills. I felt like I had some skills, some talents and gifts that were being underutilized in the practice of law.
What was there a particular avenue of law that you wanted to get into at that time?
No. So at that point in time, I had really been already in about 3 different practice areas. And each area had its own pros and cons. And I just kind of felt like, okay, I need to be doing something for humanity here. Mm-hmm. And fighting over rich people's money and how it should be divvied up, or who was wrong in the contractual aspects of the agreements that they made and things, it didn't make my heart sing. Mm-hmm. So... And there comes a point in your life where you realize, okay, I've done great things. I've accomplished amazing things. But what am I doing for the rest of the world? And what's my legacy look like? Mm-hmm. And I don't know that those questions at that point were really on my mind. I think it was just an internal struggle of thinking, okay, I have these gifts. I'm good at so many things. And what am I doing with that? I'm not using any of it.
Right.
So I think God just kind of put this unease in me, this kind of just like desire to look. And it took about 2 years for me to really find a calling. And this opportunity at Sunlight Home really was just kind of presented to me. And I knew that it was God showing me a path and a way to really help the kingdom, to step up and to help those who are less fortunate, who didn't have what I have and who needed help.
I love that.
Thank you.
I really do. I mean, it's a lot to go from something that was cushy and I'm sure paid well
Yes.
Because people who fight over rich people's money are typically paid on,
Yes.
well.
And attorneys are known for being compensated well for
Yes.
their work. Yes, absolutely.
And then
Yes.
moving over and taking this leap of faith to go to a nonprofit. Nonprofits are notorious for maybe not paying so well.
Correct. It was definitely a move of passion.
Yeah.
It was not one for accolades, it was definitely for passion.
Yeah.
And nothing more. And really just, like your sign says, trusting my purpose, right? Like really finding my purpose and honing in on that and trusting that plan and knowing that God was putting it before me for a reason.
Yeah.
And like you said, that leap of faith. Yeah.
It's a huge leap of faith.
What were those, you had mentioned like having gifts. What did you feel like those gifts that you had were like that you weren't really able to use in the profession of law?
So I'm not really sure how to describe. I don't even know that there are proper words for it, but I guess just really loving and investing in people and helping to guide them and put them on a path towards success and greatness. And I feel like as a mom who has a lot of friends who are moms, I've always kind of been this sounding block for everyone and kind of a voice of reason and of guidance. And it really just kind of all came together with the work that they needed done at Sunlight Home. I'm also very organized. I can implement systems well. I have a very logical side of my brain, plus all of my expertise, obviously, that I've acquired during my practice of law. There just seemed to be something else. It seemed like there was a different place for me where just all of these things could come together.
Yeah.
And people skills, just things like that. I felt very just underutilized.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be kind of like boring too, right? Doing what you were doing.
Yeah, it's not.
You're not like fighting in these big trials, a murder trial or something where you're doing more like contract law.
Yeah. So
Right.
I did criminal defense actually, which is kind of an important part of,
Was that fun?
what
Oh my God.
played into my spirit for the underserved.
Yeah.
So, and fighting that fight for second chances, I
Was
guess.
that fun?
I
Was that-
loved it.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. So coming out of law school, I was doing criminal defense. I loved it. The firm I worked for is amazing. They're still incredible. And I was traveling all of Southwest Florida for all different kinds of cases. It was great. And when I met my husband, he is also an attorney and he has a practice. And we sat down and talked, and he's kind of like, okay, well, you're making their law firm money. And now this is your family business too. You should be making my law firm money as an associate. And I can give you a little more flexibility. The office location was more convenient to our home. I have stepsons who were young at that time. Being available for them is something that was invaluable. So I made the switch to commercial and construction litigation at that time.
Ooh, riveting.
I know. I know. Let's not dive into all of that excitement.
Yeah. We'd be here all day.
Oh boy. Yeah. So again, it was a change and it was
But it was for your family. It makes sense.
And when it's for your family, it's for everything. So yeah. So it was totally worth it. And I practiced there for quite a few years and again, just began to kind of feel that unease, that upset, I want to say. Nothing drastic, but just, okay, there's something more for me. Knowing that there was going to be a calling and that I needed to prepare myself to answer it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming your husband was understanding because you were working for him, right? So like you had
Absolutely.
to tell him like, hey, I know you brought me in, babe, but
Yeah.
I gotta go.
Yeah. So it was a major adjustment. We went from having lunch every day to knowing that I would be able to put dinner on the table to having groceries in our house to me being so consumed with this position that I was very unable to contribute in a lot of the ways that I had been. And that's the home life. Then you go to the professional life where I was able to contribute to the business as well. And it was a huge sacrifice on his part. But quite honestly, when he saw that job description that, I was presented with, and it came to me through someone asking if I would put it through my network, my contacts, see if anyone I knew might be interested. And I received this, and just line by line, it was me. It was everything I considered myself good at, every talent I thought I had, and every job I had had in my life had some little piece in that description of what they were seeking. And it was undeniable. And I read it and I started crying. And I was like, I have to take this job. I have to apply for this job. And I handed it to him, and he saw it too. He knew right away.
Wow.
I'm so glad that he was so supportive. And
oh, I'm so lucky. I mean, I'm so lucky. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been that would be hard for me if I were the one that's like relying on my partner for so much in my business, and then they're like, actually,
yeah.
But as the spouse, you also want your spouse to do something that they're really truly passionate about, because it makes your home life better.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's been a great opportunity too for our sons who are younger to see what it means to give back, because they are around. They come to work with me. They are familiar with everything that I do. They know the home. They know the ladies. They know the kids. They know the babies. And it's really opened their eyes to what it means to give back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to help people.
Yeah.
So what was your initial experience when you your first day on the job at Sunlight? Do you remember that day?
So my first day on the job at Sunlight was, I think it's like the first day of any job. You're just kind of like, okay, where's the toilet? And what do I need to survive?
Like, what do I do here?
Right. Like, okay, so what do I have to drink? Do I need to go get drinks? Do I have snacks? Like, how do we do lunches? Where's the bathroom?
Did you ever have moments of like,
when is my paycheck coming in?
Yeah.
Nobody loves to answer that question. Nobody ever tells you when you're first.
Takes forever. Takes like a month.
Yeah.
But did you ever have moments of doubt, like in those first couple of weeks, where you were like, did I make the right move? Like, is this?
Am I going to be good
Honestly,
at this?
no.
Right.
Honestly, no, I didn't. I felt so charged and so ready to be there. When I first came to Sunlight, it was very obvious the reason for that calling. It became extremely clear to me. And so Sunlight Home has been around. Last year was the 30th year that the organization has been in existence in Collier County, serving women who are pregnant, who become pregnant in difficult circumstances. And the demographic has changed, but the mission has always been the same. And it's to really help these women learn what it means to be a mother, and upon their transition out of Sunlight Home, to know that they're going to be successful mothers and that they're on a road to independence. And that's changed a lot in how it looks in the implementation, because the demographic of the women that we're serving has really changed. 30 years ago, it was a woman who became pregnant, brought shame to the family because, oh my gosh, all of a sudden, little Susie had premarital sex. Can we, oh my gosh, get her out of here, send her somewhere to have the baby. And then, she goes and lives with an aunt or something, some family mystery occurs, baby's raised by somebody else, whatever it looks like, and little Susie can go to college and finish out her life. Well, the women that we're seeing now are women who become pregnant in abusive, just the worst of the worst types of circumstances, human trafficking situations, and they don't want to abort that baby. And when they make that decision, they lose all support. They have no one, because their value is dependent on them being able to be abused or be trafficked, and that's where the value is on them. And once that goes away and they're pregnant and they're getting bigger and bigger, they're less valuable in those types of relationships. So coming into Sunlight Home, it was very clear that more needed to be done for these women. They needed a lot more than just a place to be. Giving them a home is great, but you really have to create the path to healing and create the path to independence and really shine a spotlight down that path, allowing them to see the possibilities if they choose that option for themselves, because they're at a crossroads. They can return to the world that they've known, or they can forge a new path for themselves. And that wasn't being done enough coming in. So when I came to Sunlight, I realized that I really needed to redo everything from the ground up. Every policy, every employee manual, every way that they did everything. I started at the very bottom and reworked
a good manual.
Everything. It makes everything
it's so
easier.
Great.
And so that's really kind of where, the legal side of my mind was extremely beneficial. Creating structure, creating rules, creating systems, and implementing ways that we could really empower these women, avoid enabling them to continue making the bad choices that they had, but really empower them to choose independence and build a support system around them so that they knew it was possible.
Yeah. And how does that look? So I'm a mom, newly pregnant, and I'm being abused. Do I call you? Do I show up and knock on the door? How does that work?
There's quite a few. I mean, we've had it all. We've had it all happen. Normally, the reach out is silent. So normally it's the internet.
Okay.
It's normally a woman who's searching online for resources for different programs who will submit something to us, whether it's an email, then we guide them to our online application. Our initial application is online for that very reason. It's silent. We want them to be able to communicate with us in a way that doesn't feel burdensome or like it could be really easily discoverable if they're in an extremely abusive situation.
Okay.
That's normally how our girls find us. But we've had it all. We've had hospital workers call. We've had school districts call. We've had parents. I mean, we've had girls show up. It all happens. So nothing's out of the question. But generally, it's an online application. We review the application and talk to the woman and determine if our program is a good fit for her. We are a program, so there are specific things that we're looking at when we're considering potential residents for our residential program. And we're really looking for a girl who is ready, who's ready to take action, who's ready to work for the changes that they want to see in their life. And in this, having been in this job now for, as long as I have, you can see it. You can see when a girl is just done, when she's ready to cut ties with her old world and forge a new path. And we can't make her ready.
Right.
What
does that usually look like when somebody's like, when they're ready versus not ready? Are they kind of like trepidatious and like, oh, yeah, I guess this sounds good, if they're not ready?
I think there's always a little bit of trepidation. So I wouldn't say trepidation is like the ultimate sign of not being prepared. It's a lot, and it's a lot to process. It's a lot of change. So again, I think trepidation is always present. What I think is the biggest indicator is how they respond to the steps that we're trying to encourage them to take. So we're very goal focused, very goal oriented. Everything is, okay, what's the goal? Then what are the baby steps that we take to get to that goal and to achieve it? We break it down in baby steps and we hold them accountable by date to those baby steps.
Okay.
If they're not taking the baby steps, then we also assess whether or not there's some kind of roadblock that might have to do with something in their past, some kind of mental health type of situation that needs to be addressed as to why they're procrastinating, why they're afraid to take a step. And if they're still not taking action, then that to us is just kind of,
they're not ready.
Is it hard to say no to people? And do you provide any like additional resources if you're not a good fit for them to say maybe try out this organization?
We do everything we can as far as referring women to other local resources. We will go so far as, somebody who's not even looking for a residential program, we would try to help them locate services in the area that they need. We've had women call and say, I don't have any food to feed my family. We have a list of local food banks. We would say, what part of town are you in? What part of the county are you in? There's a food bank here at this time. So we're always trying to give them other resources. And it's always hard to say no.
Yeah.
Because if I feel like I could help someone, I always want to help them. But I also have to think of what's in the best interest of the program, of the other women who are living in the house, who are working hard towards their goals, my staff, all of those things have to come into play. And ultimately, if a woman is not a good candidate for our program, it would be a disservice to bring her in because we wouldn't be able to keep her as long as we would like. And she won't be able to transition as successfully as those around her. And it's just...
Can you tell us a little bit more about the actual program and what, like you were talking about these goals and these steps? Can you kind of give us a summary? Or are they individualized?
So we do everything extremely case by case. And that's one of the absolute most beautiful things about Sunlight Home.
Okay.
There's no specific criteria that immediately disqualifies a woman from our program. We do everything case by case. So that's a beautiful thing. We also review everyone's circumstances case by case when we're coming up with the goals, with the goal planning, with, creating the big goals, the baby steps, all of those things. Generally, when a woman comes in, and this is true in all abusive relationships, the two things that abusers want to keep women from are education and transportational independence. Because if you can travel, you're gone. And if you're intelligent, you're gone.
Yeah.
So when women come in, our first two questions are, do you have a driver's license? And have you gotten your GED or graduated from high school? If not, that's where we start.
What about what's the percentage of women that have a driver's license than that have graduated high school?
I would say it's probably 20%.
Of people who have the driver's license. That's crazy.
Yeah. Who come to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not common.
Wow.
I'd say probably about 1 in 5. Yeah. Probably about 20%.
Yeah. Wow. That's surprising.
Yeah.
But again, if they're coming to you from an abusive relationship, that makes sense because,
yeah.
Those are the two things that are typical of an abuser.
And those are our first two major goals.
Right.
If you have a GED, if you have a driver's license, you're easier to hire. Transportation-wise, we're getting you in a place where you can start saving for a car.
Right.
And those are the big things. When women leave, we want them to be able to drive in their own vehicle, ideally, and to have our big goal is $20,000 saved, and to have a transition plan that sets them up for success.
And they'll be living in the home while they're working on these things, correct?
Correct. So when girls come into our program, they are automatically put into our short-term program, which is 6 weeks after they give birth.
Mm-hmm.
They can stay with us up to 6 weeks after they give birth. During that time, we really kind of get the feel for, okay, this girl's ready or this girl's not ready. And if she's not ready, we'll come up with a plan for her to transition, whether it be to family or another program after that 6 weeks time frame. If she is ready, she can reside with us for up to 2 years after she gives birth. And that's, again, not necessarily set in stone. It's very case by case. We have women who come and go to college. We have women who come and get vocational training. We have women who come and really mentally aren't quite capable of either. And so it's just, again, case by case, get them in the absolute best situation that we can. But even in that short-term program, our goal is always for those women to leave with a GED and a driver's license, and also a very well-written resume so that they know that they can go out and hopefully secure employment if they haven't already.
Right. Yeah. Do you have, for the people who stay with you more in a long term after the birth of the baby, do you have businesses that you work with that help like that hire are open to hiring people that maybe don't have experience or?
We always struggle with that.
Yeah.
And a big part of why we struggle with that is because we're trying to get these women into jobs that can turn into careers.
Okay.
So we're trying to create some longevity. And through that, we really want them to be in a role where they have interest. So it varies, and it's hard for us to establish those relationships when we're trying to find jobs for each girl in a different industry.
Right.
So we struggle with that.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, you're not trying to just like place them in any job, like here, go work at McDonald's, right?
Although
And
it's a good job for transitioning.
Absolutely. And there are some women that we have to sit down and tell, like, this is where, food service is really where you're going to need to be. Because some of them just mentally aren't going to be able to really forge much more of a path. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
It's just the reality of the world. I mean, we need our fast food workers too.
Right.
So,
right.
And it's just kind of about setting them up. And there's room for growth in that as well. But encouraging them to be the very best at that they can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And bring in a paycheck. I mean, look,
Yes.
they're not paid low wage anymore.
No, they're not.
That's a decent
No.
job. I mean, 10 years ago, if you told me that people working at McDonald's would be making like $15 an hour.
With 401ks?
I know.
Are you kidding me?
I know. I need to quit what I'm doing. I don't have a 401k.
Yeah,
I don't either.
neither do I.
What are we going to do with our lives? I know. No 401k club.
That's what happens when you're got the entrepreneurial spirit.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Had you been in a CEO position before or knew all that it would entail?
I don't think I ever could have known all that this role would entail. I have been in other business leadership roles. I have owned other businesses and sold, acquired. We've done a lot of business stuff. So I've been involved in businesses. I've ran businesses. I've owned businesses. But coming into this, where my passion is what it is for the work and for these women, I never could have expected.
You wouldn't have been able to even know what this job would entail.
Right.
Yeah. I'm only curious because I imagine as a CEO of an organization like this, the job description that was presented to you, there's far more that goes into it.
Yes,
Than
absolutely.
just the key, the bullet points on the...
I'm also not one who can give less than 100%.
Right.
And so it's definitely, and you guys know this as moms, it's so hard to balance already. But then when you add this fiery passion for what you're doing and you see so much potential and so much need for change and growth, I mean, I couldn't stop. I was on fire. And it was amazing. And I've been blessed and backed and supported by this incredible board of directors who has really given me room and space to create all of these changes and to implement all of these things in a short amount of time, which is scary when things have always been done a certain way. But we're really seeing huge success in everything that's been implemented. Our numbers are up so high. We have so many more women passing the GED than we've ever had. We have so many more women applying to college than we've ever had. We have so many more passing their driver's license test than we ever have. And those numbers don't lie. So,
Yeah.
Right. Now, were you, did they interview anybody else other than you?
They did.
They did?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they did. I don't know to what degree. I don't know.
Well, you're the CEO. I'm sure you can find the personnel files for all previous interviews.
Yeah, but time is a very valuable resource,
Yes,
and I'm
of
not
course.
sure that's a good way to spend it.
That's true. That's true. I've got a guy who's one of my customers. He's the director of HR, and they had interviewed like 20 people for his position that he got. And he was so excited because he'd been laid off for like 6 months and was really struggling. The higher, jobs like director of HR, they pay well, but they're more few, they're few and far between.
Yes.
It's not like he could just hop to McDonald's and get another job tomorrow, although he could, but you know what I mean? It's just harder
Right.
to find them. So 6 months without a job is very difficult. So when he got the gig, he was so excited. And I remember he called me, he's like, oh my God, I'm reading all the the hiring, all the things that everybody else had done in the interview and why they didn't get the job, because now he's privy to all of that information because he's the director of HR.
Right.
So he's like, oh, I blew this one out of the water. All these people, they didn't know what they were talking about. He's like, no wonder I got this job. But he works for a nonprofit in Texas that it's a group of attorneys, and they represent people who are human trafficked. It's, it's all, they get federal grants and everything.
Right.
So Sunlight Home, you said, is privately funded. So how do you guys sustain operations through your fundraising and grants and things like that?
So exactly what you said, through fundraising and grants. So we're very blessed with amazing donors who are extremely supportive, but it is all private donations currently. So we don't accept any government funding. And we receive grants from private organizations, churches, small community groups.
Can you tap into your representing rich people as an attorney? Those,
I've never
Can you tap into your
I've never crossed those two worlds. Definitely my personal contacts, but I've never crossed the two worlds. I just think that, Sunlight Home has always, so again, this is our 31st year that we've been operating, and we've always been privately funded through donors, through grants, and it's been great. We're in a position now where we're looking to expand, we're looking to grow, but I don't think that was really ever the case before. Mm-hmm. And so we were fine, and we're a small organization. We have so much heart, and greed's just never been a part of that. So it's always kind of been the mentality, if we're doing it and we're making our bills and everything, then we're fine.
Right. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't think it would be greedy necessarily to want more funding, because you can help more people.
I agree, but at the same time, I don't think that it was possible for them to help more people until everything kind of came together as far as how we were running the programs.
Because then it would have just been a shit show.
It would have been a bigger shit show than when I got there, and it was already a shit show.
Okay.
So, yeah. And it was really just a lack of leadership and a lack of structure and a lack of guidance.
Right.
And yeah, it just needed an infusion of all of those things combined with someone who had a really strong passion for the ministry.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So how can the local community help you guys?
So there's a lot of ways. We collect donations of all children's items, women's items, maternity items. We really appreciate anything. It doesn't have to be new. We appreciate used things just as much as new. We always need volunteers. It's not easy to be a volunteer in our organization because we're so regulated, and we are technically considered a child caring agency because sometimes we watch the babies for the moms. Mm-hmm. So we have a license that allows that, but by which we're considered a child caring agency and have to require more of our volunteers. And we're always in need of people to just come help out. But again, there's some qualifications there that are a little time consuming.
Like a fingerprint, background check, things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. CPR certification. And then there's a class online, and it just really deters people.
Yeah.
So we always need volunteers who are willing to go through that and then are willing to be committed to coming in. Yeah. We also live in the land of snowbirds. So it's great when they're here too. And then, they leave and we're without volunteers for another few months until they come back down. So we're very appreciative of anybody who's willing to come in and volunteer and help us out. And of course, donating. We always have a running Amazon wish list. We always need funding, no matter how big, no matter how small, we always need funding. And all of that information is available on our website and also on our Facebook page.
Okay. Are there any, do you guys ever do any annual fundraising events that are particularly successful?
We do. So every year we have 2 events. This year, actually, for the first time in, I want to say 30 years, we're not having our annual big luncheon for the simple reason that we couldn't manage it on our small staff. Our staff usually coordinates, plans, organizes, does all the things for the big event. And we are running at capacity at the shelter constantly. We haven't in years. So the staff is just unable to dedicate the time and attention necessary to the event because they're dedicating their time and energy to all of the residents. So that's something right now that we're really trying to overcome as far as making our budget this year. How do we do that? What does that look like? And I've heard the actual question was, our events. So we have that event, and we're not having that this year. And then we have a fall dinner every year, which also is, an opportunity to hear about what we do, hear updates about the girls, and really interact with us and them. And we usually have some kind of entertainment, and it's a nice event.
Very good.
When is your luncheon when does that typically happen?
So it typically happens in March. And like I said, we couldn't do it. So we're not having it this year.
That kind of sucks for you, right? Because I know you're trying to do everything you can for the girls, but in order to do more for the girls, you need more funding, and those are the ways to get funded, and then you can't do it because you can't make it.
It is
such a cycle.
It is such a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
And it was a very brave and difficult decision that our board made to cancel the event, because it would have been so easy for them to say, we have to do it.
Nobody else can step up and help from the board. I mean,
well, it's a huge undertaking. The event is very large. It's very fancy. And the board has always done a lot of the work, but a lot of the logistics fall on the staff. And when we have an office staff of 3, including me, we have 3 who work in the office. We have a full house of girls headed in every different direction, working towards every different goal you could imagine. What do we do? You know?
Right.
What gives? And the board decided it couldn't be the girls and their success. It had to be the event. So we're trying to come up with a strategy to hold different smaller events, which is something else that the community could always do, is to have a small event or small cocktail party and ask people to bring baby items or ask people to bring gift cards or anything really that could benefit Sunlight, and invite us to come. And we'd love to come tell your group, your people, your civil organization, your meeting group, Bible study, whoever. We would love to tell everyone about our work.
So you guys are a faith-based organization?
We are.
Correct?
Yes. So we are faith-based. And that's definitely a major priority in what we do and what we teach and how we help these girls learn their self-worth.
Do you come into churches at all and kind of give a little spiel about you guys and do any testimonials and then accept donations that way?
Whenever we are given the opportunity, we absolutely do. And we love to. Unfortunately, a lot of the churches aren't open to that. So what we've realized is that a lot of churches select the missions and the ministries that they support, and they send the money to them. They don't want the congregation to give money directly to them, which is fine. Obviously, they want to be stewards of the money and of the gifts. And of course, we understand and respect that. But any opportunity to talk to members of a church and the other thing too about, and I'm sorry, I'm going to go in a different direction here, but the other thing too about inviting us to talk to people that I think is so important, and I think it's more important than the finances, is educating people about what we do and the type of girl that we help, because we don't know who's going to encounter these women. And we want to make sure that our name gets spoken to her when she needs us. And if she's ready to make an actual change in her life, we want to make sure there's somebody there who says, I heard about this program.
Right.
And I think it would be amazing for you. You should apply. You should call them. And I think that hearing it from somebody that they trust, somebody that they know, someone in person saying, I heard about this program or I'm familiar with this program, means so much more than them coming across us online and reading about our programs on a website.
Yeah.
It's a trusted referral. It's a trusted almost nomination of our programming to them that gives them some confidence and
Word
some
of mouth is
comfort.
everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we want to make sure that our name is there and that, again, that the community knows what we're doing and who we help, so that if they encounter that girl, they can say, have you ever heard of this? Look them up, talk to them, give them a chance. I hear they do great things.
Yeah.
And so we really appreciate any opportunity to educate the community on the work that we're doing.
Yep.
What are the living arrangements like for the women in the group?
So Sunlight Home is actually really cool because when you come in, it's a home.
Yeah.
It's not an institution. It's not some kind of, ward where you feel uncomfortable. It's a cute, very cozy home, and you can feel it. You can just feel the energy. You can feel the love. You can feel that gatherings happen in every corner of that home. And I think that's what makes us so incredibly unique, and also gives us an opportunity to really help these women feel safe and supported and comfortable in the environment, because it is a lot when they come to us. They share a room, so the rooms are pretty big size, and we put 2 moms in a room together. And depending on the circumstances, it might be a woman who's pregnant, it might be a woman who has a newborn, might be a mother who has a 1-year-old. It just kind of all depends on how we can make the furniture fit best and make accommodations the most comfortable that we can. And we try to pair everyone with personalities that we think will complement each other well. We've had a lot of people who have been placed together as roommates who've gone on to move into apartments together. And we really encourage our residents to find ways to support each other and develop those relationships and those friendships within the house. It's so much easier if you can tag team the responsibilities of single parenthood and share them. But we don't force that, because that's not what they're going to experience in the real world. And we want to make everything as realistic in the house as we can for when they transition out of the house. We want to prepare them as best as we can.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, so how many times have you looked around your house and thought, there is no way I'm getting to that laundry pile today?
Every day. I mean, I own a cleaning company, and A, I can't get my own life together, and B, I see it firsthand how hard it is to juggle everything, especially when you're a parent.
Which is exactly why we're so excited about our new sponsor, Rattled Concierge. They're basically the household lifesavers we've all been wishing for.
Yeah, and they come in, they take care of dishes, tidying, laundry, organizing, and they do some light cleaning too. And it's kind of like hitting a reset button for your home without lifting a finger.
And the best part? No need to clean up before they clean. You just leave the chaos, and they'll handle it. No judgment, just support.
So if you're feeling overwhelmed or you just need help with your home getting back on track, check out rattledconcierge.com. Give yourself the gift of more family time.
Or at least a moment of peace without tripping over the freaking laundry baskets again.
True that.
So do you guys offer different therapy programs?
So we actually have a very extensive therapy curriculum. I was extremely blessed to be able to create a relationship with a local mental health practitioner's office. And she's private, but she's amazing. She has such a heart for the work that we do. She also trains master level interns. And so we've been able to work with their educational requirements to create this very extensive curriculum that starts with education. So we work very hard to educate the girls on different types of trauma, different types of triggers, different types of responses, and how they can create safety plans, how they can find a support system, how they can create success for themselves where they are, what that looks like. What does it feel like when a trigger sets in? What do you do? Where do you go? How do you get back from that? How do you control it? And how do you develop a system for acknowledging and redirecting it before it becomes something that's out of hand? And we also do group therapy. We do conflict resolution, building skills. There's so many different things that we really work to teach the girls and also help them grow with each other. We're very particular about the way that the environment is at Sunlight Home. And I tell my famous line is, you can't float like a butterfly if you're living in a hornet's nest.
Right.
You can't go out and spread your wings and be beautiful and grow if you're coming home and it's terrible and nasty and gross and dirty. So
And there's chaos everywhere.
Right. And it's negative, and we have a very strict no drama policy with a group of women. So there's a challenge.
Yeah. Have you had any issues with like the boyfriend coming around when she's left, or a husband, like an abuser, trying to find his girlfriend or spouse?
We have had, in the 31 years, there have been a couple of incidents, but not a substantial amount. We have very strict confidentiality policies in place with our residents that result in termination if they're giving any information to abusers. We also have policies that restrict communication with abusers, and we do our best to monitor that, but we can't.
Yeah.
So we do what we can, and we also have limited information available on the internet as far as our actual physical location is concerned for those reasons.
Kind of like the ACT shelter. They send you somewhere that
and we're
you
not
can't
even
find.
and we're not even that extreme. We probably should be more so, but we've been so fortunate and so blessed.
Yeah.
And God truly has his hands on our ministry, and we just know, like, we rely heavily on that, and just know that we do our best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you do your best with what you've got. Because I imagine the ACT shelter they're probably federally funded or
extremely
something.
well funded.
Yes.
And not by our donors. Right.
Right.
Yes.
Like my dad was on the board of the ACT shelter for like 20 years. My stepmom was a volunteer in their call center in the 70s. That's how it started for her. And then she introduced my dad to it, and they would host the Arts for ACT every year in their bank or whatever. They always did huge work for the shelter, which I always thought was just so awesome. You know, there was no money in it for them,
right?
You know, and but yes, they were very well funded.
Yeah. Well, and it's amazing that your parents felt that calling and took action for an organization that they believe in, and they're a great organization.
Yeah. I wish you guys could be funded like that, because that's great.
Do you have any other like collaborations that you guys do? I know you're like tied into like the mental health, but are there other ones that are really like pivotal to what you do that you kind of rely on?
I think there are so many. It would be hard for me to really break them all down. We're so blessed by community partners. And there are so many organizations that are so willing to work together when they realize they're working for the same cause and that they have the same outcome in mind. And it's really beautiful to see.
That's awesome.
So we're extremely blessed when it comes to community collaborations.
Are any of those more about like parenting education or family building resources?
Yeah, so there are a lot of incredible parenting resources, and a lot of the local organizations, a lot of the pregnancy clinics, a lot of the hospitals offer parenting classes, parenting advocates, different programs, different opportunities.
Now, are they tied into you guys though? Like, is that...
Our girls are always invited to use their programming.
Okay.
We've been very fortunate in creating and establishing relationships with different organizations and making our work known to them and finding ways that we could utilize their resources and vice versa.
Gotcha.
So we do a lot of I do a lot of that in the community, as far as, you know, going out and talking to other organizational leaders and just saying, this is what we do. How can we get our girls plugged into your resources? How can you get your clientele plugged into our resources? How can we come together and work together and utilize what we both have for the better good of the community, because it's what we're all here for. And so those organizations have opened a lot of opportunities to our residents. And parenting classes are a requirement of our program. We offer parenting classes at the home, and also give them the opportunity to go out to kind of meet new people who are in their similar circumstances at places like pregnancy clinics or churches and things like that. We have girls who attend English classes at different churches. We have a Bible study that was actually, it's an incredible program that is really targeted towards seeing God through their circumstances. So even though there's abuse, even though there's so much negativity, seeing God and the silver lining and all of that, and walking them through all of that and the unexpected pregnancy and things like that. They attend that Bible study weekly, and there's just, there's so many amazing things that.
So when they're a resident there, are they on like a strict, like an itinerary, so to speak, or do they have like the free will to kind of come and go as they please, but yet still they still required to meet their goals?
So I wouldn't say that they have a strict itinerary, but it kind of depends on where the girl is in her goal planning and in her journey with us. So we have some women who drive, and obviously that lends itself to more freedom. We have other women who don't have cars, who rely on us for transportation. And so the can I go here, can I go there is more limited because we're the driver.
Right.
So we have to restrict that a little bit. But we want our residents to engage in the community. We want them to become successful contributors to society. And a big part of that is creating a network and a support system outside of the home. So we encourage that. But our big thing is we have a house full of women who have never seen a healthy boundary in their life. So we really try, especially in the beginning of their time with us, to form those guide rails of, okay, what do healthy boundaries look like? And you might not like this, but let's sit down and discuss why it's an important boundary,
Right.
and why it's a rule of our home. And I hate using the word rule because it has such a, negative, almost childlike connotation that comes along with it. But we do have a lot of rules in our home, and it really is just about learning healthy boundaries where they've never seen them before in their entire life.
Make it easy for everybody to cohesively live together.
Absolutely.
Because that's the only way you're going to be that butterfly and not living in the hornet's nest.
Absolutely. And there are just so many things that we take for granted growing up and having seen, and we don't realize the impact that those small things that we witnessed have on our well-being and our ability to grow into successful adults. And when you're dealing with an entire house full of women who've never witnessed that, who've never seen what it looks like to clean up after yourself or to live in a place that's not infested with bed bugs, termites, mice, rats, it's really a challenge, and there's a lot of resistance. But once they start to kind of see, okay, this is why we do this. This is this. It becomes appreciated, and it becomes a part of their life that they can leave with and have grown from.
Yeah.
So,
are you able to share with us any particular success story that sticks out in your mind of any of your residents?
We actually just had, there's so many. And
are there any that are like just pivotal that really like stand out to you?
Sure. One actually that's coming to a conclusion, a very bittersweet conclusion. We had a young woman. She has been with us. She called from the hospital. This was before I was at Sunlight. She called and called and called and called, and she was just so persistent that staff was finally like, okay, we're just going to go get this girl. She was at the hospital. She had decided to keep her baby, and no one would take her. So she was stuck at the hospital, having just delivered her son all by herself, completely abandoned, and nowhere to go, nobody to answer her calls, no one to come pick her up. So someone from Sunlight drove across the state, picked her up from the hospital, brought her and her newborn son to Sunlight Home. And she was 14 years old.
Oh my God.
She had been so badly abused. The baby was a product of rape. Absolutely horrible story. But she loved her baby.
Yeah.
She loved her baby. She felt that connection to her baby. And so she made that brave decision, and we brought her back, and she just graduated high school last year. She's still at Sunlight Home, so it's been 4 years that she's been at Sunlight Home. Her son just turned 4. He's amazing. He's so smart, so cute, so sweet. And to see her and know all of the potential that she has, it's incredible. It's so heartwarming. She wouldn't have been anywhere close to where she is right now. She's in college, studying to be a nurse. We're actually working on her transition plan right now to transition her to another program. She's still a teenager, so there's some angst there. She's ready for a change and to move on, and we're excited for her to gain a little more independence, and she's tired of the rules and the guardrails. And so we've given her such a strong foundation, and we've been able to pour so much into her and invest so much into her growth and her potential. We're really excited
at this age
to see.
too. This is like perfect time for you guys to get in there and really put a really solid foundation in there, because once you grow up in a certain way, like you're kind of stuck in your ways after a certain amount of time.
That's so true.
And then to get in there early and really like help shape the later years of her teenagehood.
Yes. Yes. And the recurrence rate for second pregnancy is so high.
Yeah.
When a girl has a baby at that age.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What about guardianship? Like, how did that work for you guys?
So actually, with her situation, in her case, the laws were different when they got guardianship of her. And it can work in a variety of ways, but back then it was a little more lax. It was a little easier. Now we have a really difficult time taking on minors because of the way that the laws have changed as far as guardianship is concerned. And I'm definitely not an expert in guardianship law by any means, but it definitely adds another layer of hardship for us to take anybody who's under 18 or who isn't emancipated.
Right.
Yeah.
So would that be the first step today with somebody, is trying to get them emancipated so they can make their own decision?
That isn't even necessarily something that we could help with, but yeah, I mean, if there was a woman who need, and you know, I think one of the really difficult things is that we see so many women who are escaping from their family because the abuse is a generational cycle that's just occurred, whether it be drugs, addiction, whatever it might be, but the abuse is just, it's cyclical.
Yeah.
And for them to step out and be willing to take such strong action against it is often a very difficult thing to find. And so, again, every case is different. We take everything very case by case, but it has put us in a position to where it would be difficult for us to accept minors at this point in time.
Yeah, that's hard. Because those are the ones that you want to help so much.
Yeah. And
so that it doesn't continue.
Exactly.
As they grow
There's
up.
still such an opportunity to create formation of beliefs and of viewpoints there. Yeah, absolutely. So we continue to work on that and see what we can do as far as, whether it be getting referrals from DCF or getting judges to order that these women come to our program.
Right.
Yeah, we're always looking at different,
like just even a temporary
solutions.
guardianship. Because I know when parents sign their kids up for these like behavioral camps, there was like a string of documentaries on Netflix. It was like these super abusive behavioral camps. A kid was bad. They get the parents hire this company to come and take them in the middle of the night and kidnap their kid.
Like Paris Hilton.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
This is exactly where it kind of started, was her telling her story.
Yes.
And people are like, wait, that happened to me. And they go out in the woods and it's like a outdoors retreat camp thing. And they're abused and somebody died and, it's horrible. But they sign over guardianship to these camps.
Yeah. And I think the camps are formed in states where they can do that.
Okay. That makes sense.
So Florida actually, and probably what was an extremely advanced move, changed the way in which guardianship can be transferred. So it's
probably
not
to
as
protect
easy.
Kids against these kind
That's
of things.
exactly
Right.
it. I was going to say probably what was a very advanced move. I think Florida statute may have been a little ahead of the curve on that. It is more difficult to sign over any kind of guardianship in the state of Florida. And it's to our disadvantage, but again, probably to great advantage to children.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
As
can't
a
just
whole.
give them to whoever you want.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That makes sense. It's tough for you guys, though.
So your demographic, I imagine you probably have a good amount of women who don't speak English.
So we actually have a difficult time taking women who can't at least communicate in English because so the way that our operations run, we have someone on staff 24/7 to make sure that the moms, the babies, that everyone is safe and that the moms are caring for their children in a safe manner and everything is running smoothly and that there are no issues in the home. Not all of our night and weekend staff speak Creole, speak Spanish. So we really have to have the ability to communicate with these women as a requirement for them coming into the home.
You don't have a translator or anything like that?
No.
I mean, at 3 a.m.?
No, I mean like on
For, like,
staff, if they have
Creole?
anybody that is bilingual or anything like that.
Right.
We do. I mean, we have individuals who are bilingual, but not for the purposes of translation.
Right.
Just that they, happen to have that as
They
their
can speak Spanish or Creole or
right,
something.
right, based on their nationality or their experience in life. Yeah. There's no way we could afford translators. Our budget is so small and we run very strictly as far as our operational expenses are concerned. So while it would be great to be able to offer more of those women the opportunity to come to Sunlight Home, it's not quite our priority as far as hiring a translator. We have 2 women who currently actually are of different nationalities who attend English classes together. And it's really created a strong bond between them. And it's fun to see how they learn to communicate and how the other residents learn to communicate with them and challenge them in their ability to communicate in English. And, we've kind of started telling them, just don't talk to them in Spanish anymore, or don't talk to them in Creole anymore. Just let them.
I mean, that's the only way to really learn something is to just go head first into it.
What kind of donations does Sunlight Home need the most right now?
Well, we always need monetary donations. We also always need...
Give them that money.
That's right. We also need women's clothing, children's clothing of all sizes.
All ages for the children's clothing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So one thing that I haven't really had the opportunity to talk about yet is our outreach program. So while we do have the residential program, and it's amazing, we also have our Enrich outreach program. And that is a program that goes alongside of food banks in the area. And while the food bank is providing food to families, we're providing essential items to families for their kids and the care of their children. So our goal in that is to prevent more people from needing residential assistance to care for their children. So obviously, you have a limited amount of financial resources, especially as a single mom. Being able to receive free clothing, free toys, free bottles, free anything that you need for your child frees up assets that you can then use to pay for your rent. So anything that we can't use at the house, and that's why I say all sizes, we take to outreach and we provide to those families. Last year, we were able to come alongside of 134 families in 1 year. Our goal this year is to do 300, and we're actually on course to beat that goal.
Nice.
That's amazing.
So, we're really, really excited about our ability to, like I said, just come alongside these families and offer them support so that they don't end up in a situation of homelessness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead of taking your crap to Goodwill, like everybody does.
Right.
Donate to Sunlight.
Yes.
Well, pick out the stuff that's not like ruined. I wouldn't want to like donate ruined stuff. That's for Goodwill.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But, just like, don't just toss it all in a big black garbage bag and drop it off at the donate center. Go through it and be mindful and pick out the stuff that would be good for Sunlight.
And it does take a little more effort, but it's not anything that you can't do.
And where would people donate? Where do they just drop off? Is there a location?
We have a drop-off location. Yeah. So the address, we can provide it. I don't know. Should I provide it now?
You can.
You can.
Okay. So the address for dropping off it's 3431 Pine Ridge Road, Suite 101 in Naples. And if you call us at Sunlight, we can provide you that address. We can provide you information. That's actually my husband's law firm. So it's a central location. They accept the donations there. They can write donation receipts for tax purposes there. And they're open regular business hours from 8:30 to 5:30, Monday through Friday. Whereas we might be out of the office, we might be gone, we might be dealing with a crisis. Right.
Yeah.
We might be, in the hospital visiting a brand new baby. We have no idea. So it allows us a place that's not our shelter, so we're not giving out our address.
Right.
And they're very happy to receive anything there for us, and we pick up there multiple times a week.
That's awesome. How cool. It's nice of your husband.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, he is.
So for anyone who's listening who might be in an abusive situation or a trafficking situation, anything you guys help with, what message would you want them to hear?
That they are worthy of everything in this world, and that there's so much more for them outside of what they've heard or been told or have endured, and that God forgives and God loves them, and we're here to help. And there are so many other organizations that are here to help. And quite honestly, I just pray that they have the strength to seek the resources to escape. And there are so many resources out there.
So how can people get in touch with Sunlight Home or support the organization in any way?
So our website is really the best way to find out information about us. We keep it pretty up to date. It is sunlighthome, HOME, not plural, .org. And our Facebook page is at Sunlight Home, as is our Instagram. And we do a lot of kind of updates about what's going on in the house, things that are happening, needs that we have on our Facebook as well.
Cool. I'm going to
Awesome.
follow it.
What about a phone number? Can they reach you?
So our phone number is 239-352-0251. If we don't answer the phone, you can always leave us a message. Sometimes we're across the house dealing with, some kind of resident issue or helping fill out paperwork, or we're all over the place every day. So if we don't get to the phone, you can leave us a message and we'll get back. And if there are any women who are seeking our services, the application for our program is on our website as well. And you can apply through there, and we'll be in contact with you.
Awesome.
One quick question about donations before we wrap up.
Please.
Furniture, things like that.
Oh my gosh, we love furniture donations. So we go through a lot of furniture.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have kids and so many women utilizing the furniture as much as they do, we go through furniture quite often.
Yeah.
If you have any furniture that you're interested or willing to donate, we do have a difficult time picking it up.
Yep.
But we always appreciate it if there's a way that we can get it. Please just call us and we'll let you know if we have a need for that particular item.
Okay.
And we always appreciate furniture.
Okay, cool.
And house goods, any kind of house goods, small appliances, anything like that.
Right.
We always need. We have 2 full kitchens that are constantly operating.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure.
What you're doing is awesome.
Thank you.
I truly admire you taking that leap of faith and following the call to do something that ignites your soul and making an impact.
Thank you.
It's wonderful.
Thank you. Hopefully it can inspire somebody else to do the same.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Yay.
Absolutely. We're so grateful that you joined us today. If this story spoke to you, share it with someone who might need it too. You can find us at ican'tevenimagine.com or connect with us on Facebook at ican'tevenimagine a podcast for moms, or Instagram at ICEI_podcast.
And don't forget, there's purpose in your path, even if you can't see it yet.